Hello there, this is Pastor Henry Falcoso from Farmersville United Methodist Church with another video devotional. My dear friends, as we reach the conclusion of our series, Having Worth with Jesus, we need to remember that last week we started with chapter 16 of the Gospel of Luke, with the parable of the dishonest manager, where Jesus basically said that we can use the filthy lucre or dirty money, the money of the world, to advance the kingdom of God with the premise that everything belongs to our God. And since this parable, the one we're going to consider this week, the parable of Lazarus and the rich man, is right after that, we also have to consider this week that we can also care for the poor and the vulnerable with the resources that we have. And again, it is money of the world, but everything belongs to God. Now, in order for us to understand Lazarus and the rich man, we also have to start and pivot from verse 14. Luke established that the Pharisees were lovers of money who responded to Jesus' teachings about money with ridicule. Now, the problem is that these Pharisees, they were holding on to what they considered their law. Their theology persuaded them that wealth is a sign of God's blessing and poverty a sign of God's displeasure. Now, they would consider a person like Lazarus to be deserving of the suffering because probably he is guilty of some kind of heinous sin. Now, Jesus challenged that kind of belief with this statement in verse 15 that says, "Which is exalted among men is an abomination in the sight of God." Now, remember, Jesus is addressing his disciples, but he also knows that the Pharisees are listening. So whenever Jesus spoke of the law, the prophet, and the proclamation of the kingdom of God, he gave us a warning. He said, "It is easier for heaven and earth to pass away than for one tiny stroke of a pen in the law to fall." Now remember, not only those Pharisees ignored the poor and vulnerable, but they also created poverty and vulnerability. All right, so we can always consider that this is a parable about money, but this is actually about values. It is possible to be wealthy and to enjoy God's favor. Remember Abraham, David, even Solomon. Now, the question is not whether we have money, but whether we love money, or whether we share God's concern for the poor and the vulnerable, or whether we are too preoccupied with personal concerns to notice the Lazarus in our midst. So, I will challenge you to read Luke 16, verses 19-31. And when you're done with that, I would love for you to consider these 2 points. Well, the first point has to do with the reversal of fortunes of this life and in the hereafter. Now, the second point is, even though someone or a messenger can return from the dead, it will not bring about reform among the obstinate rich. So, this is basically what we have. We have a very powerful story about reversal. The world turned upside down, or rather right side up. Now, the parable of Lazarus and the rich man is what Mary sang about in the Magnificat way back at the beginning of Luke's gospel. Remember what she said: "The poor are filled with good things, and the rich are sent away hungry. Brought down the powerful and lifted up the lowly." Now, here's this parable is, or this expression, the beautiful part of the Magnificat, is acted out in the parable that Jesus told to those who were ridiculing him because they love money more than God's kingdom. Now, friends, I would love for you to check us out. If you want to continue reading about this or listening to about this parable, you can check us out on our on-demand service on YouTube, and always, like us, or you can follow our YouTube channel. You can also subscribe to it. Or I can even invite you to come down to Farmersville United Methodist Church, because I would love to meet you in person. So anyways, we're going to continue with this beautiful parable. And one more thing, once again, happy Hispanic Heritage Month for all my Latino friends out there. And also, we're going to keep praying for you. Remember to drop those comments or any kind of prayer requests. I would love to help you and listen and also pray with you. Until next time, God bless you.